Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, blind. Now, again, I have a choice of what I want to do, and I feel like first I would like to still try and catch my stalker, because someone has been tailing me for the last few nights, and I feel like it is important to find out more about this, and it feels like a thing that might be time critical. So, last time you failed to resolve the situation with your stalker. You have to get a handle on that one way or another. Let's go. You're in your haven when the intercom rings. Answering cautiously, you hear an older male voice. Hello? I'm calling because a business friend asked me to come by and offer you my services. What do you mean, services? You know, services. You know what I'm talking about. The man sounds strangely excited, breathing hard. Is this a sex thing? No, I need something to go on. Like more information, I assume. That's what it means. She told me not to talk about these things in public. I know you're one of them. Please, it's all right. I don't mind. You can drink with me, if you understand what I mean. A man you've never seen before is paying you a visit to an apartment not many people know of, offering you to feed from him. I don't drink with people I've never met. That is kind of not true. Like, that is exactly what I do as a vampire most of the time. But I am getting kind of creeped out, because it's pretty weird. I've already talked at length about this when the girl has offered herself to me at the gallery. That I somehow feel it's even weirder when they want me to do it. There seems to be something almost like there's an undercurrent of like intimate abuse of some kind whenever I do it like that, which is weird, as I said before, because you'd think I would feel worse about assaulting somebody, because obviously that's pretty much, if you were to follow this train of thought and this analogy, then regular feeding, like on the streets, is pretty much like an analogy to rape, I guess, if you were to stay within the bounds of like sexual analogies. But still, even if they theoretically are, willing, I still feel kind of weird about it. I'm getting creeped out. I'm so sorry. Don't worry, I mean no harm. Silence. A minute passes and you hear a knock on the door of your haven. Cautiously open the door. A stranger looks at you sheepishly. He's in his 30s, dressed in a clean business suit. He looks moderately successful, someone you could meet in an investment bank. I'm sorry, I didn't want to intrude, so that's why I called from downstairs. I guess I can at least talk with him to learn more about why he's here. He was sent by someone, by a woman, because he said she told him. You know what? Come in. I was hungry anyway. Oh, I guess my character is like agreeing to go to let him in is synonymous with feeding from him. Well, the man looks comically satisfied as you usher him into your haven. He barely waits for you to close the door before he loosens the collar of his shirt, closes his eyes and bares his neck in quivering expectation. You look at the man, taken aback at such forwardness. Figuring that you didn't invite the man here for a chat, you lean closer, take him by the shoulders and sink your fangs into him. This is not an unpleasant way to feed. You reflect as the blood flows into your mouth. The food comes to your door of its own volition. The man moans as you drink from him, lost in the ecstasy of the kiss. It feels a little unseemly, but it would be churlish to begrudge him his pleasures. Taking care not to drink too much, you let go of the man after licking his wounds closed. Suddenly you're startled by a surprising sight. A woman, not very old, strangely dressed, is looking at you intently, only at an arm's length away. Before you can react, the mysterious woman opens your front door and vanishing from sight, leaving you to wonder whether you really saw her at all. As you stare, confused, the man you drank from slips out of your haven and into the hallway, staggering a little from the effects of the kiss. Close your door, wondering what it is all about. At least you've got to feed, if nothing else. Okay, so I guess the woman is supposed to be the one that has been tailing me, but for some reason she sent me what was pretty much a gift. So I'm not sure what that is about, but let's rest, because I need to rest. Knock knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of the New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling? Now, I must say, so far, I probably find Kadir one of the more interesting characters, because he's very layered. Like, he has this persona, this outward persona of someone who is very stoic and kind of intimidating, but it seems there has been a couple of hints that underneath all of that, he really kind of cares. For example, about the young vampires that he that he fetches to the court, when they are turned, and about me by extension, at least to some degree. Maybe cares is a bad word. What I mean is, he's sympathetic to my plight, kind of, and it feels like he has a lot more emotions underneath, which I guess is in line with him being a Toreador, like, right? Because the Toreadors are like most closely connected with their humanity and with their human emotions. He doesn't look like a Toreador to me. Like, I wouldn't have guessed he's one, but I guess that's the point, right? The game is trying to illustrate that not all vampires neatly fit into those clan stereotypes, right? Just because you're of a certain clan doesn't mean you're going to be a carbon copy of every other vampire of that clan, because that would be pretty stupid. You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nevertheless. Excellent. Stay close. He heads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rear-view mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Cuddy drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your own life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. He's taking me to meet my sister, right? Yeah, let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. Is it a gallery? I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate, just so you cannot ever say that I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Treat it as the last time you will ever meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. You found yourself at a crossroad, decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable, the rent is too high. You've heard it all. However, you wouldn't leave for good without saying farewell to the only person who cared. He gives you a compassionate stare. Now, I don't think this story holds up that great, because, to be honest, what's stopping me from giving, even if I said I am moving to Europe or to, I don't know, Asia, half the world away, what's stopping me from her perspective? What's stopping me from just giving her my email address or my phone number, or or to give her my literal new address so that she can visit me, sometime in the future, I would have to somehow explain why I want to cut all ties with her. It's gonna leave a scar, boy, but a true artist knows that those are not something to hide, but to display with pride. You're a fresh corpse. People you meet can still leave a mark on you. One night, a long time from now, you will realize you miss collecting new wounds. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. You'll see if you are worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right, it is a familiar place. It's right next to that exhibition space, the one where you met your future sire. This is where you saw Emma for the last time. This is where they last saw poor Matt. Who knows whatever might have happened to him. That's what your sister is trying to find out. I took the liberty of messaging her in your stead. She's up there, waiting for you to come and explain yourself. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the exhibition space. The elevator ride up just doesn't seem to end. After what feels close to 5 hours, but is reality closer to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. There she is. Em is standing there, looking at the paintings. She is trying to act carefree, but is holding onto her bag a little too tightly. When she hears your footsteps, she's startled. Then she sees you, and her eyes immediately fill with tears. She runs up and gives you a hearty hug. God damn it, Matt. God damn it. You stay in her arms, silent for a while. The bonds of blood runs deep. This feels right. You're so cold. What happened to you? You look into her eyes and start searching your heart for a lie that will satisfy her, if only for a little bit. Well, let's go with the soul-searching trip. It sounds like something my character would have said, because, in life, he was very, he had very lofty ideas about what art is supposed to be. He was very, almost spiritual in his approach to art. So I feel like this might actually kind of convince her, depending on how exactly does he spin it. So I suddenly decided to do a little traveling, see the world, figure out all those things inside my head. Stop mid-sentence. It's perfectly obvious that you're not exactly telling the truth, and her expression makes it obvious that she knows. What happened? Matt, talk to me. All the life-saving work she has sent your way, from the concept artist job to this very exhibition. I've been losing my mind, talked to literally everybody I know to ask when was the last time they saw you. All the times she helps you get your shit together. I've always been honest with you. The least you can do is return the favor. She has and absolutely deserves to know, but she can't. Kadir is waiting downstairs. Matt. Her voice startles you. Your first instinct is to run. And like the beast you've become, you trust it. Matt, you can't do this. Not now. Not like this. She watches you. She watches as you, kindred, an undying creature of the night, zoom away from her, run into the elevator and press the ground floor button. This might be the last time you ever see each other. At least look her in the eye and force yourself to tell her one last thing. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if we'll meet again. He has, well, I don't feel particularly guilty about botching this, because it seems I didn't really have a choice. He just couldn't do it, like, there wasn't an option. He just decided he can't do it. But I feel like don't search for me is very, like, it's exactly the thing that's not going to work. Because obviously that sounds very ominous and that doesn't explain anything. That sounds like you're in trouble. And if someone loved you, they would probably continue looking, specifically because they would think you are in trouble. But obviously I don't want her to get in trouble. I'll try sending you a message, I guess. Although Kadir said he would know if I try to establish a route of communication like that, but I feel like this is not going to work. Like, I feel bad about potentially exposing her to danger, but I feel like there's no practical difference between I'll send you a message and don't search for me, because either one of those, I mean neither one of those, is going to cause her to suddenly stop caring and stop looking for me. Like, I didn't really explain anything. Although, I guess if she is going to still look for me, I guess don't search for me is at least a performatory adherence to the guidelines set by Kadir. So at least he cannot accuse me of doing something we didn't agree on, and maybe she'll somehow be safe still. Don't search for me, for your and my own good. Yeah, that's exactly something that wouldn't work, I feel like. Like, if I said to that, if I suddenly disappeared from, for example, my parents' life, like dropped all contact with my mom, for example, and said something like that, I'm 120,000% sure that wouldn't reassure her, and that wouldn't stop her to, wouldn't cause her to stop looking for me. In fact, it would probably do the opposite. She's too stunned to react as the elevator doors close. You slide down the wall, hiding your face in your arms. You find your own priorities disgusting, but what gets you down the most is not the fact that you failed to give closure to the only person you cared about. It's more that you failed to make this farewell beautiful. Oh, come on, that is kind of disgusting. Like, how can you... I find this... Well, first of all, disgusting, and also pretentious and, like, cringy as shit. Because, like, this is the last time he sees his sister, most likely, and he seemingly cares about making it theatrical, which I don't respect at all. But at least I'm glad he himself realizes how fucked up those priorities are. It makes you feel like a failure of an artist. Even with all of the newfound power, you still can't express yourself through the canvas of your life. You're still stuck in your old ways. But you know M. She'll take the pain you caused her and use it to make art that resonates, that sells. What if authentic trauma is the best gift you could find to repay all of her generosity? Wow, that's pretty fucked up. Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. If you consider all of those emotions commodities, no wonder you're a failure as an artist. Yeah, I do kind of agree with my own character's thoughts in this moment. This is kind of, the way his mind frames it is kind of disgusting, I do agree. The elevator doors open. Better run while she's still up there. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say? No. Kadir sighs. Yeah, that's what I gathered from here. I'll keep an eye on the situation. Placate her somehow if she won't stop looking. I've got some well-tested methods. Non-violent, of course. He gives you a good stare via the rearview mirror. You're an artist, aren't you? You nod half-heartedly. So you, of all people, should know that things never work the way you plan. There could always be more time to plan, tools that could help you execute it better. Perfection is just an accident. The only thing you can do is give your best shot, given the circumstances, and immediately move on to the next thing. When all is said and done, regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. Sophie, your coterie. Those are the materials you've been given, and they are potent ones. Make the best use of them so that they might create something more beautiful than your artist's tools ever did. And as a side note, I envy you. I wish I still had someone to make my knees feel like jelly. Even when you can't see them anymore, just knowing that they are there keeps you in touch with what we once were. The car speeds up to an intersection before the light turns red. You give Kadir a good hard look. Yeah, thank you, I guess. I kind of appreciate, all the trouble he went through, and I appreciate him being so kind of gentle about it. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nonetheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his hugely furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then he takes out a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt, he will go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now. I feel like he's almost trying to cover himself. He feels conflicted about displaying those emotions and about displaying the sentiment of caring. So he's trying to sort of backpedal, and he's trying to assure me that he's still, this badass executioner sheriff. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care, I'll see you around. Just pray that I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Kadir. You can't say you are fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can't say you aren't either. Well, to be honest, I, as a player, kind of am fond of Kadir. As I said, I find him probably one of the most interesting characters so far. You're gonna need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. And do I have more time? Yes. Oh, a nosy reporter. You've taken care of Frank Dougherty, but apparently there's still someone staking out of Sophie's apartment. He's not that stupid, is he? Well, apparently he is. Let's go check it out. The weather is cold and windy as you walk down to Sophie's apartment. As a vampire, that doesn't matter anymore. You might have been saddled with eternal hunger, but at least you can ignore the wind chill. Just as you come to the door of Sophie's building, she storms out, murmuring into her phone. Yes, I know, don't worry. I trust you to handle it. You've heard Sophie talk to her associate before. It's always the same. Generalities and vague suggestions. It makes you think she's involved in mysterious machinations, yet doesn't tell you anything. Sophie is dressed to kill, but there's nothing unusual in that. She likes to make an impression. A black car with tinted windows is waiting for her in the front of the door. A chauffeur steps out to open the car door for her. Sophie notices you. I am glad you're in the neighborhood. If you could look around for me one more time, that would be wonderful. You told me you've gotten rid of that reporter. Turns out he's still there, snooping around. Sophie is very good at communicating disappointment. She doesn't have to do much to make it clear that she's unhappy to have to return to this issue. I'll take care of it. After tonight, he won't trouble you anymore. Good, don't disappoint me. The reporter talked his way into the building during the day. Once the doorman understood what was happening, he threw the reporter out. He showed old pictures of me to my neighbors. It's very awkward, you understand. Sophie disappears into the car and the chauffeur closed the door behind her. You watch as the sleek vehicle disappears into the Manhattan traffic, just one anonymous car among many. Let's sit down somewhere and devise a plan of action. You go to the nearby dinner, settle into a booth and order a coffee from a steely-eyed Latino waitress. As she brings your cup, you describe Frank Dougherty to her on the off chance she's seen something. Just as she's about to answer, you happen to look outside. Something catches your eye. The dinner is brightly lit, so you lean closer to the window to see the street through it. You got lucky. Frank is standing on the sidewalk of the other street, looking at something on his phone. You slide out of the booth, throwing a few small bills on the table. Mumbling something to the waitress, you step outside. Sure, yeah, let's use allspice. I'm not that hungry at the moment. You keep out of sight and follow Frank patiently. His scent is so strong that you don't have to see him to stay on his tail. He disappears into an alley. It's different from the last encounter, but it could well be the same for all of the protection it will afford him. Oh god, it's you again. Please, I'm working on a different story, I swear. Frank retreats deeper into the alley. I know why you're here. Don't worry, Frank. I know all about why you're here. You do? I mean... Okay, I'm sorry I tried to bullshit you. Just tell me how I can help you. I thought we agreed there's no story. How come you're here? I thought we agreed there's no story. Usually when someone says there's no story, that means there is a story. That is true. I do agree with that. I just couldn't let it go. Look, I don't want any trouble. I can see that you're serious. There is something to Sophie Langley. I think you know what it is. You take a long, hard look at Frank Dougherty. He's a tenacious man, but not brave. After the last time you met, you were sure he had been dealt with. Where did he find the courage to come here again? What's your real angle? I like you, Frank. You don't give up. What's your real angle here? Everybody plays an angle. That's one of the things you learn in my profession. You're smart. You know that there will be others after me. If there's a real story, they will come and find it. Your best shot is with a friendly reporter, someone you can trust, someone like me. So what do you say? Go ahead, get ahead of the story. It'll be good of you and Miss Langley too. You almost believe it, but something about Frank feels off. Okay, let's use presence. I've been using those disciplines a little too much. I've already murdered 2 people because of the hunger, even though I've only been a vampire for like a week. So that's a pretty bad track record. But I feel like that's the safest bet, right? Because as a mortal, he probably can't resist the power of my presence. You don't say anything at first. It's easy to dismiss Frank as a joke, a has-been. Yet there's something beneath his talk, another story. A moment of silence is all you need for your presence to properly register in Frank's mind. He's too weak-willed to resist. Someone's leaning on you, Frank. Come clean. What? No, absolutely not. Frank's voice sounds shrill. You know you got right in one guess. Sometimes I just need extra money, that's all. Now we're finally getting somewhere. Oh, or where does this extra money come from? There's a guy, he's paying me, that's all, but I can't talk about that. Okay, I can kill him, which would solve this problem, but I would obviously feel very bad about it. So... offer Frank to work for you, but on what? Like, would he still be spying on Sophie Langley, but for me? that would be kind of weird, especially seeing how most of the information he wants to recover I already have, because obviously I know why she is not aging, for example. And try pushing him. Push Frank for information. Come on, you can give me more than that. No, really, I don't even know that much about those people. Why are they interested? Why do they want information on Sophie Langley? They seem to think that there's something unusual going on with Sophie, something to do with the old photos. Are they the Second Inquisition? Okay, that's enough. I can't tell you anything more. You got to consider the position I am in. Okay, I feel like I screwed it again. Like, surely if I killed him, that would be the most concrete way of dealing with this situation, but as I said, I didn't want to do it because I feel like he's a pawn in a situation he himself doesn't really comprehend, and I don't feel it's his fault. We're not done. Fine, I'll leave her alone. I'm done with this. It was all bullshit anyway. You can tell Sophie Langley that he won't see me anymore. I kind of don't believe him. As Frank leaves the alley, you consider your victory. He sounds defeated, sincere. Is it really up to him whether he returns or not? Yeah, I kind of feel like I haven't resolved it at all. I'm pretty sure he is going to return. I need to rest. So let's do it. Oh, I can meet with Benoit again. Benoit believes that the time has come for you to meet Father Anthony. The holy man's presence terrifies you, but... well, let's see what this is about. Approaching the cathedral on the street makes you nervous. You've been here twice, and twice something bad has happened. Or almost happened, as in both cases you ran away. Benoit suggested it's time to stop running and experience the faith head-on. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in realization when you know what you felt, the holiness of the priest and your own damnation. Walking towards the door, you glance at the bench when you first met Benoit. He's waiting for you, sitting and contemplating the cathedral's Gothic architecture. I wasn't sure I'd come. I wasn't certain I ever want to talk to you after last time. I understand. I'm happy you chose to come. Benoit looks different than before, intense and certain. You've had some time to think about what we spoke of before. I want to learn more about Cain. About where we all came from. All in good time. I have something different in mind for tonight, as you surely remember. Let's go to see Father Anthony. It's best not to talk in the cathedral, so I'll arrange for us to see him at his home. I have a car nearby. Well, I don't know if it's a good idea, but I do want to meet him. It's definitely interesting, the realities of true faith and the implications it might have on sort of the position of the vampires in the sort of grand plan of the universe. Because, as I said, I'm pretty sure that true faith in the world of darkness has actually nothing to do with religion and everything to do with conviction, but obviously my character doesn't know that. Let's go. That's a good idea. The cathedral has become too exposed. That's what I thought. Some things are better done with privacy. You follow Benoit as he walks down the street until you come to his car, a surprisingly pedestrian family sedan. The essence of the masquerade is inconspicuousness. Nobody expects a vampire to drive a car like this. Benoit drives north towards Queens. During these movements, you feel most anonymous, just another speck of dust in the vast machine where every action influences the whole in a tiny way. The one thing you've learned about kindred is that they are not lacking in self-regard. The prince of the Camarilla city is set to rule the domain, yet how much they really affect the mortal affairs? If you ask a vampire, they will say a lot. Perhaps that's what made Benoit turn inward, the futility of finding meaning in a secret predatory experience, or rather existence. Benoit stops in front of a red brick row house in a little rundown, but probably not cheap. Benoit notes your interest. Father Anthony comes from an old New York family. He inherited the house. When I first met him, I was suspicious, so I checked up on him. Despite the ways he keeps putting you in dangerous situations, a kindred paranoia seems to come naturally to Benoit. Perhaps that's something you can learn from him. Does he know we're vampires? I doubt it. He knows we're vampires, right? Yes, he knows. He doesn't know everything I told you about Cain and the First City and so on, but he knows that we are no longer human. You follow Benoit to the stairs, looking around for any signs of an ambush. As you get to the door, the first signs of trepidation hit you, the discomfort, the pain that will follow once you're inside. It feels like a physical thing, a burning sensation under your skin, in your blood. You look to see how Benoit is taking it. He's smiling, eyes closed for a second before knocking on the door, almost as if he's enjoying the sensation. The door opens and you see Father Anthony's kindly face. Your body feels as if it is in a vice. You haven't really been bothered by hot or cold since you were embraced, but now it feels like the surface of your skin is overwhelmed with sensation. The fear and terror are paralyzing. Yes. You barely hear Benoit's whisper. Come in, you two. I might not know much, but I know enough not to do this on the porch. You force yourself to follow Father Anthony into the apartment, despite the splitting headache and rising panic. It's hard to take in your surroundings. Everything seems to vibrate, seeking to engulf you. Framed portraits of man on a mantelpiece, a cross on the wall, a living room with lots of books, many of them old. I'm not too sure I can offer you anything. You don't drink tea, I suppose? No, we don't. Why do I feel pain? If this is holiness, why does it feel like pain? Oh, my child, I understand that thanks to your condition, you're under unusual stress. Please, Father, you know that this is difficult for us. You'll forgive me if I don't waste time. Father Anthony looks pained, whether because of the rudeness or out of the sympathy for your condition, you can't tell. He motions for you to sit down, but you and Benoit are both too agitated to do so. You feel trapped, like a moth being smeared against a burning light bulb. It's hard to look at Father Anthony, but you can't look at anything else either. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if he's seeing into some divine beyond just the outside grasp of your senses. And now is the time, my friend. You have to decide if you're ready for salvation. Prove your faith by embracing the Father and let His radiance envelop you. Am I ready? Am I ready for what? Like, to be honest, I personally don't even believe in any kind of salvation to be had, regardless of if you're a vampire or not, because obviously I'm not religious myself as a player. So I guess the most matter-of-fact statement I can offer in this situation is that it hurts. Please, it hurts. You're damned. You're supposed to hurt. It's supposed to hurt. Just kneel and be blessed. As the burning pain racks your body, Benoit pushes you down to your knees. You don't resist, too consumed by the holy suffering inflicted on you. Startled, Father Anthony takes a step back. Benoit, what are you doing? Father, it is time to be redeemed for both of us. Benoit falls to his knees next to you, lifting his face in the full embrace of the holy agony. This is not right, Benoit. Everyone has a chance for salvation. I understand that there's something in God's presence that burns you, but you can work through it. Please, there are many paths to salvation, and we will find yours. I won't hurt you and your friend. Benoit moans in pain, stricken with grief and disbelief at Father Anthony's refusal. Was he trying to commit, like, religious suicide? Like, did he want Father Anthony to, like, murder us with the power of faith, so that our souls might be redeemed? Please, Father, they don't even believe. Not truly. Father Anthony looks at you and seems to waver. Even his belief in salvation has limits. Kill the Father. No, I'm not going to kill him. To be honest, I think I'm just going to run away, because professing my belief is something I can't bring myself to do, because I am not a believer. Obviously, I could roleplay a character who's religious, but usually when playing the game for the first time, I'm usually acting in a way that I would act if I was in a given situation. And although, to be honest, you know, there is obviously something supernatural going on here, what with the pain that his faith is causing me, but that doesn't necessarily equal God. And I don't really want to be enveloped in this whole religious, like, the discussions are okay, but I can't say it would come easy to me to profess any kind of real religious belief. I like discussing religion as a theoretical, but in practice, at this point in my life, I feel like it's pretty impossible for me to actually believe in God, and especially in a just God, in a God that cares. So I think I'm just going to run away. This has gone out too long. You must summon the last reserves of your blood and escape. In less time than it takes to blink, you are at the door and outside, using your vampiric speed to escape the pain and fear of Father Anthony's holy presence. You're about to stop at the curb, but glancing back, you realize Benoit is right behind you. The philosophical, rueful Benoit is gone. Instead, you see a man twisted by resentment and abandonment, burning with hate towards you. The mask is off, and you realize that he wants you to burn under Father Anthony's touch, even if he has to force you to do it. Yeah, so I feel like he does want us to sort of commit suicide, by getting immolated by Father Anthony's holy presence, because maybe he believes that it is something we have to do to atone. You're fast enough that most bystanders see you as a blur, a quick movement that's already gone by the time they start paying attention. Still, running on the streets does no favor to the masquerade. There are thousands of cameras on the streets of New York, and as you run past pedestrians, the odds of someone starting to wonder increase. Well, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about that. I thought he would just use celerity to run away from the apartment itself, not necessarily to run, hundreds of meters across the street. Because obviously, even if I gained a little bit of a distance, I assumed Father Anthony as a human wouldn't, even if he wanted to follow me, he couldn't. I guess I didn't really think about what Benoit himself is going to do. He's past caring. You hear a low growl as he gains on you, fangs out, ready to tear out your neck. You duck into an alley, hoping there's somewhere for you to go. A homeless man stares right at you as you streak past. Benoit can't be far behind. It's not very dignified, but the beggars can't be choosers. You jump into a dumpster and pull the lid closed. You lie still in the stench of the garbage. In moments like these, you are grateful for not having to breathe. Is Benoit still outside? Did he fall for it? You wait for what feels like an eternity before you cautiously lift the lid of the dumpster. Just the alley. Benoit is nowhere in sight. You escaped. You're safe, but the implications of your experience are troubled. What does this mean? Whether practical or spiritual, it feels like you have to think about this for a long time. You're free to return to your haven, and there is a distinct temptation to keep the events of the night to yourself. And yet, these events cannot be good for the masquerade. Yeah, I don't think I should talk to Sophie, because first of all, he is her child. Second of all, I've broken the masquerade, which reflects poorly on her, and she has the right of destruction over me, so I guess I'll just try to keep the events of the night to myself. Sometimes the right choice is to do nothing at all. You walk back to your haven, alone as usual, among the people who crowd the New York sidewalks even at night. Holiness hurts. That's the inescapable conclusion from what happened. Hard to say whether words like salvation or damned mean anything in the modern nights, but the way you felt in Father Anthony's presence is an unavoidable fact. Father Anthony and his faith is the key. You could walk into the church and fondle a cross to your heart's content. None of that means anything. It's only that the presence of living faith. It's only in the presence of living faith that holiness becomes manifest. Perhaps one day you will have the courage to go back to Father Anthony. Okay, I need to rest, right? Oh no, I actually have time to meet someone. Now, do I want to meet Tamika as well? Or do I want to continue with some of the others? Because I'm worried that if I wait too long, some of the options start disappearing. But I think I'm going to meet Tamika just to, get the hang of her, see if I like her better than any of the others. And what? Yeah, and then I'll decide, which ones I want to follow up with first. Because again, I'm still not sure if it's somewhat exclusive or if I can recruit them all. But regardless, I feel like this episode was long enough, so I'm going to end it here. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!